All right, my little math friends, we are moving on to the next part. Now we're going to be looking at 5.1c. We're going to be using percent increase or decrease. Okay, this is what we calculated in my last lesson, and we're going to use this to calculate the new amount. All right, so here's what's going on. We're going to be calculating the new amount, and to find the new amount, when given the original amount, okay, so yesterday we looked at if we had the original and if we had the new amount, we calculated the percent of change. All right, we're going to look at something a little bit differently. Now we're going to be given the original amount. Okay, we're going to be given this. We're going to be given the percent of change. And what we're trying to find is this, the new amount. All right, so that's the number that's going to be missing. Okay, and I have some good news for you guys, because math is full of patterns, and sometimes patterns are very helpful, because here's what we're going to do. Our steps that we learned yesterday, we're just going to reverse those steps for today. Okay, we're going to reverse the steps from lesson 5.1b. Okay, so we're going to take those same 3 steps right here from 5.1b, and we're just going to reverse those to get our answer. Okay, how neat is that? OMG, this is going to work out so great. All right, let me show you how great this is going to work out, and we're going to take a look at our very first problem. Okay, so number 1, we're going to be given the original amount, which is $13. I'm just going to label this original. Okay, we're also given the percent of change. That's what we calculated yesterday. Today we're given this, okay? Percent of change, it's an increase. So I'm going to put the up arrow there to show that it's an increase. And what we're trying to find is what the new amount is. All right? Yesterday we were given the new amount. Today we're going to try and find it. So we got the original. We have the percent increase. And we're going to calculate what the new amount is. Okay. Now check out these steps over here, guys. This is just the reverse of the steps from yesterday. Okay. So our step number 1 was actually like our step number 3 yesterday, but we're just reversing it. We're going to change the percent to a decimal number. Okay. That is step number 1. We're going to take 15%. And we're going to change that to a decimal. Remember, if a percent doesn't have a decimal with it, we just put 1 right there at the end. And then we're just going to move it 2 places to the left. So it's going to go right there. 15% as a decimal is going to become 0.15. All right, there's step number 1. We change that percent to a decimal number. Step number 2, multiply the decimal number by the original amount. Okay, yesterday we divided, today we're multiplying, just doing the reverse of the steps. So we're going to take 0.15. We're going to multiply that by the original amount, which is $13. Okay, and when I do that, it's going to give me a decimal number. That's going to give me $1.95. Okay, and what this $1.95, that is the change. Okay, that's how much change it is to go from $13, and we're going to give a 15% increase. That's how much of an increase it is, $1.95. All right, and then step number 3, we have a decision to make here, guys. We got a 50-50 chance at this. We're either going to add or we are going to subtract. Okay, which this was the first step we did in yesterday's lesson. Now this one becomes the last step we're doing in today's lesson. Okay, we're going to add or subtract, and here's how you decide. Check this out. It is a 15% increase. It's going up, so that tells us we're going to add. So we're going to take the original amount, $13, and we need to add the change amount of $1.95 to find out what the new amount is, and that is going to be $14.95. Okay, this is our new amount. So if you have $13 and you do a 15% increase, you now have $14.95. Okay, that's what we're calculating today, is that new amount, what you have after a percent increase or decrease. All right, let's check out number two. Number two is going to be a decrease here. Here's your original amount, is 38 miles. Okay, we're going to have a 24% decrease. So that's going to be going down. I got a down arrow there because that's going to be a decrease. We want to find out what the new amount is. Okay, so to calculate this new amount, we're just going to follow these steps here, the reverse steps from yesterday. Change the percent to a decimal number. Take 24%, change that to a decimal. Remember, if it does not have one, just put the decimal right there at the end of the number. Move that 2 places over to the left, and that's going to give you 0.24. All right, we just did step number 1, change the percent to a decimal. Now we're going to do step number 2, multiply the decimal number by the original amount. So we're going to take 0.24, and we're going to multiply that by 38 miles. And that is going to give me 9.12 miles. Okay, so this is the change. All right, so if you have 38 miles and you have a 24% decrease, this is how much of a decrease it is. 9.12 miles, that's the change. All right, and then step number 3, our decision time. We need to either add or subtract, and in this case, it's a decrease, so we're going to subtract for this one. All right, so we're going to take 38 miles minus our change, 9.12 miles. And when we do that, that is going to get us 28.88 miles. Okay? That's how many miles you have. You started with 38 miles. You went down 24%. So that's going to give you 28.88 miles when you do that. All right? Let's take a look at some word problems, and we'll see how we're going to work these out. I think the word problems make a little bit more sense. All right, there we go. Here's our word problems here. Our very first one. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to calculate the new amount given a real-world situation. All right, here's our first situation. The grizzly bear population in Yellowstone National Park in 1970 was about 270 bears. Okay, so it should say bears there. So 270 bears. Over the next 35 years, it increased by 115%. Okay, so the population went up 115%. What was the population after 35 years? Okay, so that's going to be the new population. Okay, that's what we're trying to find, is the brand new population. All right, I'm going to go through here and highlight my math facts here. In 1970, okay, there was about 270 bears. All right, so that's going to be the original. Was is kind of the key word that tells us that's the original. Okay, so this is the original amount. Okay, that's how many bears there was. And now we're going to try and find the new amount of bears. All right, over the next 35 years, it increased by 115%. Okay, that's how much the bears population increased by. Increase, it's going to go up. All right, so we're going to have more bears. All right, now we just got the same steps we just worked above. Step number 1, we're going to change the percent to a decimal number. Okay, so I'm going to take my 115%, which is a very large percent. Okay, it doesn't have a decimal, so just put one right there at the end of the number. Move that decimal point 2 places to the left. All right, so it's going to go right there. So 115% becomes 1.15%. Okay, remember I told you guys sometimes you're going to be working with percents that are greater than 100, but that's okay. Don't freak out. It'll be just fine. Okay, now we're going to move on to step number 2. We're going to multiply the decimal number by the original amount. Okay, so we're going to take 1.15. We're going to multiply that by the original population of bears, 270. Okay, if you multiply those two together, you're going to get 310.5 bears, okay, which is kind of weird to have a 0.5 of a bear. Since it's strange to have only half a bear, we're going to round that up. We're going to make that 311 bears, okay, just to keep it like simple because no one likes walking around with a half a bear. All right, so we got 311 bears. Now decision time number 3. We need to either add or subtract. All right. Okay, so adding, if you're going to have a percent increase, you're going to add. If you're going to have a percent decrease, you're going to subtract because it's going to go down. In this case, we're having an increase, so we're going to add. We're going to take the 270 bears there once was. We're going to add the 311, and that's the change. Okay, that's how much the population changed by. All right, 311 is not the new amount of bears. That's just the change. Okay, so this is what our bear population was, the original. Then we got the change, and this is going to get us the brand new population of bears, which is going to come out to 581 bears. All right. Okay, that is our new amount right there. Okay, there we go. We got the 581 bears. Let's take a look at the last problem I have for you. We'll work this one out together, and we'll see what we get for an answer. All right. The amount in a savings account was $500. This amount increased by 35%. What is the new amount of the savings account? Okay, so we're told we're looking for the new amount. All right, underline your question so you know what it is you're looking for. Get a picture of what's going on. The savings account was $500. It's going to increase by 35%. Get your math facts here in some brackets. All right, so the account was 500. Was is your key word. That is going to be the original amount. All right, and then it increased by 35%. Okay, so we got an increase. That means it's going to go up, and it's going to go up by 35%. All right, follow our steps. Step number 1, we're going to change the percent to a decimal. I'm going to take 35%. All right, my decimal point goes right at the end because it didn't have one. Move it 2 places to the left. It is now right there. That's going to give me 0.35 for my decimal number. Step number 2, multiply the decimal by the original amount. Okay, take the 0.35, multiply that by 500. Okay, and when you do that, that is going to give you, that's $500. That is going to give you $175. Okay, so that's your change. All right, that's not what your savings account is now. That's just the change to the savings account. And then step number 3, our decision. We need to add or subtract. Since it's an increase, we're going to add. So we're going to take the amount the savings account was, $500, and we're going to add $175. And that's going to get me $675, okay, is your new amount. All right, perfect. That is what you guys have in the savings account now after this situation. It was $500. It increased 35%. There's the amount it increased, which is going to give you 675% or $675. All right, there you go. There is your lesson 5.1C. Don't forget to do the try this problem at the end of this video. And I'll see you guys next time in class, and we'll work out some more of these. Thank you guys for watching.